Namaskar. Today we are discussing a topic which is culturally and politically a bit sensitive. So I really urge you to see the full video and get the entire picture which I need to portray. We are going to talk about the Sabrimala temple which is in Kerala, where only males are allowed in the temple. Women in the age of 10 to 50 are not allowed in the temple because this is the age where the menstruation cycles in a woman are active. We are going to talk in detail about each and every dimension of this practice. Why it is done, is it right to do so? And if yes, then what are the reasons for that? First of all, let us understand what are Indian temples, how are they created and why are they created?
The temples were built to a certain science called Agama. There are 5 basic parameters with which the temple was built. If the temple is built according to that, the size and shape of the temple, the size and shape of the parikrama, the size and shape of the garbhagriha, the sanctum, the size and shape of the idol, the mudra that the idol holds, the mantras that are used to consecrate this, if all these things are properly matched, it will create a tremendous field of energy. You need to understand, Indian temple is not a place of prayer.
Exactly. Indian temples are not places for worship or prayer. They are places where a certain energy field has been created through processes called the consecration or prana pratishtha. In today's world, maybe people are treating Indian temples also like any other religious places where you go and ask for things, but it was not traditionally so. These were places where you can go and absorb the energy, the tremendous energy which has been established over there. Let us understand this with an example. Human beings today have reached this height of evolution and they are in a leading position in the world just because their ability to use tools. Human beings created tools which were an extension to their existing faculties. Human beings were mobile. That's why they came up with different ways of locomotion, be it cycle or a train or a car or an aeroplane. We can see, so we came up with a microscope and a telescope. In the same way, the temples were tools to enhance our subtle body. The human subtle body is not physically visible, but you can experience it by going within. The energy body is made up of nadis or the energy channels and the junctions which are called chakras. There are a total of 114 chakras in a human system and 72,000 nadis or the energy pathways. So the process of consecration or prana pratishtha was a process in which these chakras were established into a stone or an idol or an empty space in such a way that it creates a tremendous energy field where if a human being goes and sits there, the higher energy of the temple will naturally flow towards the lower energy chakras in our body. The temple has the same energy which we have, but it is much more concentrated and much more powerful. By making our subtle body much more vibrant, we could do things in the world which we never thought possible. This is the whole science of Indian temple making. We also need to understand that this culture is not a belief system. Here there is no one supreme God sitting up there who is managing everything. There is no such concept. Here everyone has to do his own spiritual search to find his own mukti. That's it. To touch the truth by himself, not believing to anybody. Even when Krishna spoke to Arjun, he could not give commandments. We need to understand this.
This is a godless country, but we have 33 million gods and goddesses because we know the technology of god-making. We started creating energy forms that they will function in a specific manner. We can create general forms which will benefit everybody, or we can create specific forms which will recognize you as a person. What these deities are, if they are properly consecrated, if the necessary science has gone into it, is they are windows to the existence. You can open up a certain window and access the cosmos in different dimensions. So for different aspects of life, we created different type of tools. So in India, all deities are also referred to as yantras. This is a powerful tool, you just have to learn to use it. If you learn to use it, it functions phenomenally well.
So because the idol has some sort of energy in it, it is in a way a living form. It is no more a stone or a metal. It is a tremendous possibility. As in the human system, the subtle body is the main life source within us. In the same manner, the subtle energy which has been established in that stone is also a living form for that stone. It doesn't have a physical body, it doesn't have a mental structure, but there is life. The idol or the stone sitting over there is not representing a belief or a faith. If you work a little bit on your own self, you can not just feel that energy, but also use it to grow yourself as a human being and as a tremendous possibility. But if whatever you don't experience, if you just call it as fake, this is totally not scientific. Science comes from experiment. If you don't experiment, then you cannot claim that you are scientific. Without experiment, there is no conclusion. This needs to be understood. Now here comes a really important topic. As we talked about the temples being high energy points, these high energy places sometimes tend to draw negative energies towards them. Talking specifically the disembodied beings. The disembodied beings don't have a physical body or the mental structure. They just move around through their tendencies or what we call as vasanas. They cannot see, feel, understand here, but they can surely get attracted towards a high energy place. Now these disembodied beings are just looking for one thing. Their entire tendency is just towards finding a new body so that they can start a new life again. Now during the times of menstruation, a woman is much more susceptible and sensitive towards these energies. The cycles have a typical impact on the energy body of the woman, which makes her in a way visible to these disembodied beings. So if a woman tries to enter a temple during that time, some negative energies can try to enter her body. Due to this reason, in many of the tantric temples and many other specific temples, women's entry was not allowed when they are in their cycles. The disembodied beings can see the woman as a possibility of life, and in their vasanas, they may hurt the woman in a very terrible way. This tradition was for the woman's safety. Now talking about the Sabrimala temple. This temple has been created for the Lord Ayyappa. Now for your information, there are more than 100 temples of Lord Ayyappa throughout the world, but just one temple restricts the entry of women. Because here, Lord Ayyappa is in the form of a brahmachari. This means that the idol has been consecrated and energized in a particular manner to harness a specific kind of energy. Now if we are not going to the Buddhist monks or the Jain monks and tell them that be with a woman in a room, just be with a woman, and she will specifically be of the age group from 10 to 50. Be with her. This will be so inhuman. What we are not doing to human beings, we are doing it to an energy form which we consider divine. We need to understand that the consecration process happens in a certain way. If the temple is not maintained in alignment to the consecration process, the energy form over there will not stay there. It will just leave. It will just dissolve. There are thousands and thousands of people in Kerala who put Lord Ayyappa in the Sabrimala temple above their own lives. We have no right to threaten their spiritual processes and their devotion due to our hypothetical ideas about liberty and equality. Once a person experiences this within himself, he will know that what these temples are meant for. And for that, you need to put the west aside and come to the east. Also, if a woman tries to enter such a temple with a different kind of energy, it can seriously damage her system. Not just her energy body, but also her psychological and her physiological processes. And if a woman is above 50, she can surely go to the temple, there is no problem. But those 40 years, you cannot come there. This is not discrimination, this is for the safety of the woman. Today there is a trend to ridicule everything about this culture. Each and everything, you just pick it up and ridicule it. Now let us understand that how open, liberal and equal this culture is. Talking about the menstruation, there is a temple named Kamakaya temple. In this temple, menstruation cycles of the Devi, the goddess herself, are worshipped. There is a Linga Bhairavi temple in Coimbatore, where only females can do all the rituals and the pujas in the temple. No male can ever perform these rituals. There is a Brahma temple in Pushkar, where no married men are allowed. There is a temple named Bhagati Ma temple in Kanyakumari, also in Kerala, where no men can ever enter the temple. There is a Mata temple in Muzaffarpur in Bihar, where in certain time of the year, only women who are menstruating, who are in their cycles, can enter the temple. Not even the priest or the pujari is allowed at that time. This is a land where sexuality was not just seen as physical pleasure, but also a means to reach towards your mukti. This is the land of Kama Sutra, and you call this orthodox. This, on the walls of the Khajuraho temple, this, I bet no other tradition or culture in the world would allow this on the walls of their religious places. No one. You can see at any carved image of any Indian temple, no woman is wearing clothes. And still nobody looked at it in a negative manner. It was totally fine. Until date, nobody looks at it like that. we need to understand that this is the only land in the entire world where feminine worship is allowed. Everywhere else, the feminine worship is considered as a sin and you might get a death penalty for that. In India, every village, every single village has a Devi temple. The village might not have a Shiva or a Vishnu temple, but it will surely have a Devi temple. The perfect man ever possible, Shiva, is also considered as Ardhanarishwar. That means that one half of him is a woman. No man can be great without experiencing the half feminine within himself. This is what this culture stands for. None of the 5 Pandavas were the actual descendants of the king Pandu. All of these 5 were born out of different gods, and yet Kunti and Madri are respected so much throughout the country. This is a land where a mother is considered as God and your wife is considered as Lakshmi. Can you imagine this possible in any other culture? I understand that with time many of these things has been misunderstood and has been used in a very negative manner. I am not denying that, but that is due to the social influences, not due to religious teachings. There is a huge difference between the two. Today in the world, when not a single day passes without somebody getting killed or somebody getting raped on the name of religion. We are talking about a culture here which never ever converted one person by force. And you know what the real problem is? Look at this. What to tell about this? Okay, now I will tell you what is written about women in other religious books. Should I? सहन नहीं होगा. Let it be. To conclude, I tried to explain the issue in as much detail as I can. There will surely be many missing points which are not been addressed. If you find any missing link, then please ask me questions. I will look into it and try to find the answers for that. I am making this video mainly for the Indian youth. We must understand the depth and the immensity of the Indian culture, not in comparison with any Abrahamic religion, because this is not a religion. Please understand. This is a spiritual tradition whose ultimate goal is not God, not to sit in his lap, not to go to heaven. It is your ultimate freedom. It is mukti. It is liberation. It is moksha. When we talk of freedom, liberation is the highest amount of azadi you can get. With the name of moksha, I would like to end today's video. If unknowingly I offended any one of you, I am really sorry for that. Please share this video with as many people as you can, because the science of Indian temples and the Sabrimala should be known by everyone in this country. Thank you so much for your time. I will definitely see you in the next video. Till then, do take care. Namaskar.